Hello, my name is Owain, and in this podcast I'm going to discuss about the importance of physical literacy. Professor Margaret Whitehead is a highly decorated researcher in the field of physical literacy and child development. In 2010, she described physical literacy as being the motivation, confidence, physical competence, and understanding and the knowledge to maintain physical activity at an individual appropriate level throughout life. I tend to agree with Professor Whitehead's definition of physical literacy. However, it's important to state there is no one correct definition, as everyone's interpretation is different. Physical literacy has been proven to shape and improve many aspects of our lives, such as education and socializing. More competent movers tend to be more successful in these areas. Individuals who are physically literate on average score 40% higher in tests than those who are physically illiterate, and are more likely to succeed and graduate onto university. One of the organizations who encourage physical literacy and physical activity the most is Canadian Sport for Life Society. They also have a long-term athlete development program, which is 7 stages long and includes training, competition and recovery strategies for individuals from childhood to adulthood. Physical literacy can be broken down into 4 different components, which are physical skills, confidence and motivation, knowledge and understanding, and lots of opportunities. Some of the physical skills required for physical competence include pushing, pulling and jumping. Obesity is defined as having a BMI greater than 30 kg per meter squared. This is an effective way of identifying physical health among the general population. However, it's important to mention that BMI doesn't differentiate fat mass from muscle mass, and is therefore rarely used among athletic populations, especially strength athletes. There are many reasons as to why obesity rates have grown exponentially, especially in developing countries such as India, with the decline in physical activity levels and the overconsumption of food being the prime culprits. You can argue that's one of the reasons as to why individuals, especially young children, are physically inactive is because they are physically illiterate and they don't know how to do basic primal movements such as squatting. In 2013, the Welsh Health Survey revealed some worrying figures regarding the physical health of the nation. For example, we can see that 22%, almost a quarter of the adult population, is obese, and that only a third of adults eat the recommended amount of fruits and vegetables per day. Obesity is also a major problem among children in Wales, with more than 10% of 4 to 5-year-olds classified as being obese. Unfortunately, the story gets worse when we compare the children of Wales with other home nations such as England. The economic cost of obesity and obesity-related diseases is huge here in Wales and in the UK. A study by McKinsey and Company concluded that $73 billion was spent on treating obesity and obesity-related diseases such as diabetes in 2012. This figure equated to 3% of the GDP, and unfortunately, if adequate measures are not taken, then this figure will continue to rise every year. As we can see from the graph on the slide, obesity costs more for the government than armed violence, war and terrorism combined. Physical activity and physical literacy go hand in hand because learning of new skills and movements are done through being active. Physical activity has been shown to not only increase physical health, but also mental health. Studies show that individuals who engage in daily physical activity are 15% more likely to go to college and on average score 40% higher in tests, which is a huge margin. It's important that adults are physically active because children, especially young children, tend to emulate actions of others. We also know that inactive children are more likely to become inactive adults. Results from the school sports survey was rather promising, with 60% of all pupils enjoying physical education a lot. However, there are some areas that could be improved upon, such as increasing confidence and enjoyment levels. It was reported that 44% of girls who were not hooked on sports lacked the confidence to try new activities. Increasing enjoyment and confidence levels can be achieved by including friends and family during physical activities. For example, there is a 32% increase in the likelihood of a child being hooked on sport if a father participates as well. It's very important that coaches and mentors make physical activity and physical education as enjoyable as possible for children. If children find it dull and boring, they will lose interest and will find something else to do, like playing video games. According to experts, there are 7 factors that play into a great experience for kids, which are listed on the slide. If we take dosage and duration as an example, it's important to understand that individual capabilities differ depending on factors such as age and gender. It's therefore crucial that coaches and mentors design activities that are challenging but not so difficult that children lose motivation and interest. The motivation of individuals can be categorized into 2 different categories, which are quantity and quality. Both quantity and quality of motivation are scored as either high or low, and an individual who has high quantity of motivation will be highly engaged in an activity. One can measure a child's quantity of motivation by simply observing his or her behavior. However, quality of motivation is much harder to predict, because it's the reason as to why a child is so motivated. A child who has a high quality of motivation can be described as having intrinsic motivation, which simply means that he or her participates because they love it. The self-determination theory is widely recognized as being the gold standard model for intrinsic motivation. A child who is completing all 3 factors of the model, which are autonomy, competence and relatedness, are more likely to do physical education for the pure enjoyment of it. Competence or self-confidence is the feeling of being able to meet demands, which in sports can include specific skills such as jumping or kicking. Competence can stem from task focus or superiority focus. Task focus involves focusing on mastering the task or a skill as best as you can, whereas superiority focus is when an individual compares their performance with others in the hope of outdoing the competition. Current research suggests that task focus is more advantageous towards continued participation. In conclusion, physical literacy is the mastery of fundamental primal movements such as squatting and deadlifting, and fundamental sports skills as well. Being physically literate also means that one moves with confidence, whilst being in control in a wide range of physical activity situations. As is portrayed in the pictures on the slide, physical literacy is a journey which starts from childhood when babies learn to move through adulthood. Being physically active shouldn't be age restrictive. I hope you've enjoyed the podcast and thank you for listening.